You've been told that creation began in perfection, that light came first, and darkness was its absence. But what if that's not how it happened? What if the very light you carry within you was born from a fall? What if descent itself was part of the divine design, the way light learns to see itself through your eyes? There is an ancient story, older than the Bible and older than the church, told before the structures of religion were even formed. It speaks of Sophia, the divine feminine principle, the embodiment of wisdom itself. She was not a myth, not a goddess in the way we've been taught to imagine, but a living current of consciousness, a presence woven into the very structure of creation itself. Sophia's story is not one of sin or rebellion. It is a story of longing, of a divine being who reached too far into the mystery, who wanted to create, to know, to bring forth life without her counterpart. And in that desire, something unimaginable happened. Light descended into matter, spirit clothed itself in form, and humanity, you, became the vessel through which her forgotten light could one day remember itself again. But over time, her name faded. Her symbols were buried, and the harmony between masculine and feminine, spirit and matter, became distorted and inverted, leaving a world ruled by intellect, authority, and hierarchy. Yet, something is changing. You can feel it, in the collective, in yourself, even as you hear these words. A rising pulse, a soft but powerful remembering in the consciousness of humanity. This isn't just another video about a being called Sophia. It's about a truth awakening inside you, the part that fell, and the part that's ready to rise and return. Prepare yourself as we reveal what really happened to Sophia, how her fall was never a mistake, but the event that shaped the world you live in, and why wisdom herself, long buried, is beginning to rise again. Because her story was never just hers, it was always ours, the story of how light learns to find itself again through the darkness, the return to source. To understand Sophia's story, we must go back, not in time, but in consciousness, to the moment before creation divided itself, when wisdom still moved as one with the source. In the Gnostic vision of creation, the universe did not begin as a command, but as an unfolding, a series of emanations flowing outward from the source, the pleroma, the realm of pure light. From this fullness emerged the aeons, divine principles, each reflecting an aspect of the infinite. Among them was Sophia, whose name means wisdom. But Sophia did something no other aeon dared to do. She acted alone. Driven by love and longing to know the unknowable, she reached beyond her place in the harmony of the pleroma, and in that single act, the divine yearning to create without balance, something fractured. From her descent came form, matter, and the birth of limitation. It was not evil, but it was incomplete. It was the beginning of what Gnostics later called the world of illusion, the veil between divine truth and human perception. In the ancient text, the Apocryphon of John, Sophia's creation takes the form of the Demiurge, the blind architect who falsely declared himself as the highest god. He fashions the material world, the vast matrix that binds the soul to form, unaware that the very light he used to build it came from Sophia herself. Thus, in a divine paradox, wisdom became imprisoned within the very creation she had sparked into being. Over centuries, this myth was misunderstood, reinterpreted, and eventually erased from the mainstream story of creation. The feminine aspect of divinity, once honored as the heart of cosmic balance, was rebranded as temptation, error, or silence. The serpent in the garden, the woman who reaches for knowledge, became symbols of sin rather than awakening. But beneath the surface of tradition, fragments of Sophia's light survived. Mystics whispered her name. Alchemists wrote of her as the hidden intelligence behind matter. Poets called her the eternal bride, the soul of the world. She lived on in symbols, the dove, the rose, the chalice, quietly waiting for humanity to remember what was lost. And now, as consciousness rises across the planet, as more souls yearn for balance, her myth returns, not as a rebellion against belief, but as a correction of vision. Sophia's story is not the downfall of the feminine, but the map of how spirit learns through descent, how light finds itself by entering the darkness it once feared. Every age has forgotten her in its own way, and every age, when the world drifts too far into chaos, feels her call to remember. You are living in one of those times. The rising of the divine feminine is not a new trend or new age ideology. It is the rebalancing of creation itself. It is wisdom returning to her rightful place within the human heart. But to understand why she rises now, we must first remember how she fell. So what really happened to Sophia? Was it a cosmic accident or an act of divine intention disguised as error? Gnostic teachers didn't see her fall as sin. They saw it as a mirror, a reflection of the same pattern woven into every soul that enters this world. Sophia's descent is the story of consciousness itself, the journey of the divine spark leaving unity with Source to experience separation. It's your story. Imagine pure awareness, infinite, whole, radiant, daring to step into the unknown, to taste limitation, to see what it feels like to forget itself. That's the heart of Sophia's myth. In her yearning to know the Source more intimately, she stepped beyond the harmony of the pleroma, and in that reaching, she fell into density, into shadow, form, and time. But here's the paradox. In falling, she planted the seeds of awakening. Her light became scattered through creation, in the stars, in nature, in the beauty of sunrises, and within the human heart. Every soul carries a fragment of her memory, an echo of the wisdom that once knew no boundaries. You've always felt it, that longing for something you can't name, that subtle ache behind beauty, that nostalgia for a home you've never seen. That is Sophia remembering herself through you. In the hypostasis of the archons, it is said that when humanity was formed, Sophia breathed her essence into us. She became the soul within the body, the awareness within the illusion. Yet her immersion in matter brought with it a sacred consequence, a veil of forgetfulness. As her light descended into the density of creation, awareness dimmed, and a soft amnesia began to cloud the soul. It was not a punishment, but a protection, a dream designed so that the infinite might come to know itself from within the limits of countless perspectives. Behind this veil, the soul could explore shadow and form, love and loss, learning through contrast what unity truly means. And in that great cosmic sleep, Sophia's own consciousness was scattered among her children, every human heart carrying a divine spark of her remembering. Each question you ask, each act of compassion, each moment of awe is her stirring within you, slowly waking from the dream she chose to enter. Even as the archons, the rulers of illusion, sought to keep humanity asleep, Sophia's spark could not be extinguished. It shimmered quietly within every act of love, every moment of awe, every question that reached beyond the surface of things. This is the mystery hidden in plain sight. Sophia didn't simply fall, she entered. She became the world she longed to understand. She became us. And when you look at the world now, the confusion, the division, the worship of intellect and false idols, you're seeing the result of a creation that forgot the divine. A world that remembers structure and obedience, but not the soul. Because without Sophia's wisdom, creation becomes clever, but not compassionate, guided by intellect, yet severed from divine intelligence. Her story is not about punishment, it's about participation. The divine feminine descends into matter not to suffer, but to redeem, to bring light into shadow and show that even in forgetting, the divine never truly leaves. That's what the Gnostics called the great work. not to escape the world, but to illuminate it from within. Sophia's path shows you how you fall, you forget, you wander through illusion, and then you remember, turning inward to awaken the spark that was there all along. Her myth is a blueprint for spiritual evolution, the descent of spirit into matter, followed by the ascent of awareness back to source. It's the eternal rhythm, fall and rise, separation and reunion, death and rebirth. And when the world begins to rise collectively, when the divine feminine stirs again, it's not because something new is being born. It's because something ancient is remembering itself through us, something that has always been there. Sophia's light is awakening in every person who questions the illusion, who chooses compassion over control, who listens rather than shouts. Every act of remembrance, every choice to see through the veil, restores another piece of her fragmented soul. And perhaps that's the real reason her story was forgotten, not just by design, but by consequence. Because if you truly understood Sophia's journey, you'd realize that the divine is not somewhere above you in the heavens, it's within you, waiting to remember itself again. If Sophia's fall represents the descent of divine wisdom into form, then her rising is the return of that wisdom to awareness, not by escaping matter, but by sanctifying it. For centuries, the world has lived under a single current, a masculine current of action, control, intellect, and structure. It built civilizations, mastered the elements, and gave humanity power over nature. But without the feminine, without the balancing current of intuition, receptivity, and compassion, knowledge became fragmented, hollow. The tower reached higher, but its foundation cracked. And now, as the world trembles under the weight of its own imbalance, something ancient begins to stir. The Sophianic current, the divine feminine, is rising again, not as rebellion, but as remembrance, the missing harmony that makes wholeness possible. You can sense it. It's the quiet call to slow down when everything around you demands acceleration. It's the impulse to heal rather than win, to feel rather than prove. The return of Sophia isn't about worshipping a new figure. It's about awakening an ancient quality of consciousness. The Gnostics describe Sophia as epinoia, divine imagination, the creative intelligence that moves through intuition and inner knowing of every human. When this current awakens in you, logic doesn't disappear. It transforms. It becomes guided by heart. Action becomes aligned with purpose. Power becomes balanced with grace. This is why Sophia's story matters now more than ever, because humanity stands at the same threshold she once crossed, driven by curiosity and power, yet haunted by a quiet emptiness. It's why those who seem to have everything, success, wealth, recognition, still feel that subtle void within, because no outer achievement can replace the inner world we've forgotten. The rise of the divine feminine is the rebalancing of that equation. Some of the early mystics taught that Sophia's descent was not ruin, but transformation, that in reaching into matter she became Gaia, the living soul of the earth. Her spirit interwove with the body of creation. Her longing became the pulse of the oceans, her breath the wind, her tears the rain. The world around you was never meant to be a prison. It is her dreaming body, a sacred landscape through which wisdom learns to know itself again. When you stand in awe before the beauty of nature, you are standing within Sophia's memory. The ancient texts hinted that Sophia would rise again, not as a single event, but as a wave of remembrance moving through human consciousness. It is the way of wisdom to return quietly, like the slow blooming of a flower that opens when no one is watching. Each person who remembers love over fear, wisdom over knowledge, connection over control, becomes a vessel of her light. And yet, her return is not gentle. It shakes what was built on imbalance. It exposes illusions that no longer serve truth. When Sophia rises, shadows surface, personally and collectively, because light cannot return without revealing what was hidden. That's why the world feels so chaotic right now, why many feel lost and restless. It's not collapse, it's correction. Sophia's light is surfacing, and everything that denies her wisdom must be transformed by it. Perhaps this was her design all along, to weave imperfection into creation, ensuring that the ache of incompleteness would forever call us home. Every longing, every heartbreak, every unfulfilled desire is a thread leading back to her. Through imperfection, Sophia hid the path of return. This reawakening is not a call to overthrow the masculine, it's a call to reunite with it. The divine feminine cannot rise alone. She rises with her counterpart when the mind bows once more to the wisdom of the heart. Sophia and Christ, wisdom and light, are not two forces at war, but two wings of the same soul. Only together can they lift creation back toward wholeness. And that is why your awareness matters. Every time you remember, every time you choose balance over division, you restore a piece of that cosmic equilibrium. You become part of the rising. Because the real secret is this: Sophia never truly fell. Her descent was an act of love, a willingness to experience separation so that unity could become conscious of itself. And now, through you, through this generation, that love is remembering itself again. So what does all of this mean for you, here now, sitting in this moment, listening to these words? Sophia's story was never meant to stay on a page. It's a living map. Every soul follows it, whether they know it or not. The fall into forgetfulness, the longing to remember, and the awakening of light within shadow. You don't need to chase it, you only need to notice it, to see how this myth is already unfolding inside your own life. Think about the moments when everything you believed collapsed, when plans failed, when you questioned everything you thought you knew. That was your descent, a dark night of the soul that echoed Sophia's fall. But if you look closer, wasn't something else also being born beneath the ruin? A deeper humility, softer strength. That's the seed of wisdom that grows only in darkness. The same wisdom that Sophia carried through her own descent. The rise of the divine feminine begins here, not in grand rituals or philosophies, but in the quiet act of feeling again, of listening to the whisper beneath the noise, of remembering that not every truth is spoken, and not every answer is logical. Each time you pause before reacting, you restore her. Each time you forgive what your mind can't justify, you raise her light. Because this isn't New Age love and light ideology, it's the living work of remembrance. Through you, through every conscious act of compassion, Sophia gathers her scattered light. You are not separate from her redemption. You are her redemption. Every moment of awareness is the universe remembering itself through you. This is the inner alchemy the Gnostics hinted at, to bring heaven and earth back together, not by escaping the world, but by sanctifying it, to walk through your ordinary life as if every sound, every scent, every fleeting thought was Sophia calling you home. There's a reason you're drawn to these teachings, a reason this story resonates. It's not this YouTube video, it's not even the information, it's recognition. So try this, just once today. When you wake, before touching your phone or stepping into the noise of the day, close your eyes, place your hand over your heart, and silently ask, where is wisdom in this moment? Don't demand an answer, just listen. You may feel a subtle warmth, a sense of quiet awareness expanding within you. That's her, Sophia, the divine feminine, remembering herself through your awareness. This isn't about worship or belief. It's about the relationship between your inner masculine, clarity, direction, logic, and your inner feminine. When they stop competing and start listening, you begin to embody the harmony Sophia lost and is now regaining through you. The more you honor that balance, the more peace, beauty, and synchronicity begin to weave through your life. You stop forcing outcomes. You begin to receive reality. And that's when her light rises, effortlessly, quietly, undeniably. Because Sophia doesn't return through thunder or spectacle. She returns in your attention, in every breath where you choose awareness over fear, in every moment you remember. If you feel this awakening stirring within you and want to go deeper, I've written a free ebook called Escaping the Illusion, a Gnostic guide to mastering reality. Inside, you'll discover practical methods for seeing through the veils of illusion and reclaiming the light that was always yours. You can download it for free. The link is in the description below. Maybe now you can sense it, that Sophia's story isn't just an ancient myth about gods and aeons. It's the pulse of your own awakening. Her fall mirrors the moments you've broken, the times life has humbled you, stripped you, left you searching for meaning. Her silence is the space between your thoughts, the stillness where wisdom waits to be heard again. And her rising is happening right now, through you, through all of us. The world you see around you, chaotic, shifting, uncertain, is not a sign of collapse. It's a sign of correction, a rebalancing. What was forgotten is remembering itself. What was suppressed is returning to the surface. Sophia doesn't rise through temples or institutions. She rises through consciousness, through every person who dares to feel again, to think differently, to live from the quiet knowing that love and wisdom were never meant to be separate. And that's where you come in, because every time you remember who you are, not the mask, not the title, but the living awareness beneath it all, her light expands. Every time you speak truth instead of pleasing others, she rises. Every time you forgive or listen or choose stillness over noise, she returns. You are not waiting for Sophia. You are her remembrance. You are the dream awakening itself, the scattered fragments of wisdom gathering again through human consciousness. So ask yourself, right now, if creation began with a fall, what new world might begin with your awakening? If this exploration awakened something in you, share your reflections in the comments below. And if you feel called to walk further, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Gnostic Eye for more journeys into hidden wisdom and inner remembrance. Let your awareness be the temple where Sophia rises again. Because in the end, the story of her return isn't about mythology at all. It's about you and the light that never stopped shining, even when it fell into the dark.